Hello and good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining another live broadcast. Listen, my name is Stephen A. Hart. I'm a marketer, I'm a podcaster, speaker, and a brand strategist. I'm also the host of Trailblazers.fm and the creator of Brand in Demand. If this is your first time joining us, thank you so much for giving us some of your time in our live stream here today. You can learn more about me and the things that I do over at stephenahart.com. Now, I love to start every podcast off from a place of gratitude, generally do with my live interviews as well. And, this morning, I am most grateful that I woke up this morning and God blessed me and positioned me to be the best dad ever to two crumb snatchers. My wife and I are blessed with a 7 and 11-year-old, and was able to get up this morning and make them breakfast and get them set, get them dressed, and get them out the door for school. And so very grateful for that each and every day, and don't take that for granted. Today, I wanted to talk with you guys. I wanted to share a story I've shared many times over on my podcast. I feel like I might have even in the course of a prior live stream. But back a couple months ago, my father-in-law had actually was cleaning out his basement and gifted me a true blessing in a couple of those old school 80s cases. And in one of those cases was a series of cassette tapes. Now, for those of you who are too young to know about what cassette tapes are, I'll let you go Google that. But in the mix of things was a series of cassette tapes from Earl Nightingale, and also the transcripts of Lead the Field. And so last week I shared with you a bit from one of those, and today I thought, I would share his take on Acres of Diamonds. Acres of Diamonds is a story that I am so blessed to have been able to share with you guys many times over. You can listen to the version I've put up on the podcast, which is an awesome one. But I thought I would read just a snippet from the transcripts of Acres of Diamonds with you this morning, and hopefully it sets you off on the right footing for today and for this week. So here we go. In 1843, a man was born who was to have a profound effect upon the lives of millions of people. His name was Russell Herman Conwell. He became a lawyer, then a newspaper editor, and finally a clergyman. During his church career, an incident occurred that was to change his life and the lives of countless others. Now, one day, a group of young men came to Dr. Conwell at his church and asked him if he'd be willing to instruct them in college courses. They all wanted a college education, but lacked the money to pay for it. He told them to let him think about it and to come back in a few days. After they left, an idea began to form in Dr. Conwell's mind. He asked himself, why couldn't there be a fine college for poor but deserving young people? Before very long, the idea consumed him. Why not, indeed? It was a project worthy of 100% dedication, complete commitment. Almost single-handedly, Dr. Conwell raised several $1 million with which he founded Temple University, today one of the country's leading schools. He raised the money by giving more than 6,000 lectures all over the country. And in each one of them, he told a story called Acres of Diamonds. It was a true story that had affected him very deeply, and it had the same effect on his audiences. The money he needed to build the college came pouring in. The story was the account of an African farmer who had heard tales about other farmers who had made millions by discovering diamond mines. These tales so excited the farmer that he could hardly wait to sell his farm and go prospecting for diamonds himself. So he sold the farm and spent the rest of his life wandering the African continent, searching unsuccessfully for the gleaming gems that brought such high prices on the markets of the world. Finally, the story goes, worn out and in a fit of despondency, he threw himself in a river and drowned. Meanwhile, back at the ranch or farm, in this case, the man who had bought the farm happened to be crossing the small stream on the property. Suddenly, there was a bright flash of blue and red light from the stream's bottom. He bent down, picked up the stone. It was a good-sized stone, and admiring it later, put it on the fireplace mantle as an interesting curiosity. Several weeks later, a visitor to his home picked up the stone, looked closely at it, hefted it in his hand, and nearly fainted. He asked the farmer if he knew what he had found. When the farmer said no, that he thought was a piece of crystal, the visitor told him he'd found one of the largest diamonds ever discovered. The farmer had trouble believing that. He told the man that his creek was full of such stones, not as large, perhaps, as the one on the mantle, but they were sprinkled generously throughout the creek bottom. Needless to say, the first farmer had sold so that he might find a diamond mine, turned out to be the most productive diamond mine on the entire African continent. The first farmer had owned free and clear acres of diamonds, but he had sold them for practically nothing in order to look for them elsewhere. The moral is clear. If only the first farmer had taken the time to study and prepare himself to learn what diamonds looked like in their rough state, and since he had already owned a piece of the African continent, to thoroughly explore the property he had before looking elsewhere, all of his wildest dreams would have come true. The thing about this story that so profoundly affected Dr. Conwell and subsequently millions of others was the idea that each of us is, at this moment, standing in the middle of his or her own acres of diamonds. If only we will have the wisdom and patience to intelligently and effectively explore the work in which we are now engaged, to explore ourselves, we'll usually find the riches we seek, whether they are financial or intangible or both. Before we go running off to what we think are greener pastures, let's make sure that our own is not just as green or perhaps even greener. It's been said that if the other guy's pasture appears to be greener than ours, it's quite possible that it's getting better care. Besides, while we're looking at other pastures, other people are looking at ours. To my mind, there are few things more pitiful than the person who wastes his life running from one thing to another, forever looking for the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow and never staying with one thing long enough to find it. No matter what your goal may be, perhaps the road to it can be found in the very thing you're now doing. It wasn't until he was completely paralyzed by polio and forced to reach into the rich resources of his mind that a courageous farmer got the idea of producing exceptionally good meat products on his farm. From that idea, one of the country's most successful meat packing companies was born. His farm contained acres of diamonds. He had just never been forced to dig for them before. Your mind, listen to this one. Your mind is your richest resource. Let it thoroughly explore the possibilities lurking in what you're presently doing before turning to something new. I say that because there were probably good reasons for your having chosen your present work in the beginning. If there weren't, and if you're unhappy in the field you're in, and perhaps it's time for some serious exploration. Listen, I just shared, for those of you who are just joining us, good morning. I see Kiana, I see Tressa, and I see Ralston. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. I was sharing a snippet, an excerpt from the story Acres of Diamonds in Earl Nightingale's Lead the Field, a true timeless piece that really brings to light the importance of us sticking with that thing, sticking with the things we know, right? Whether it's a job you're in, the business you're trying to build, you know, the position that God in many ways has placed you in different areas of your life, whether that could be your marriage, that could be whatever, wherever, whatever you are placed in. Don't discount that. The saying goes that the grass is green on the other side, and I often say it's greener. Grass is greener where you water it. Right, so water your grass. Right, as this transcript says, your mind is your richest resource. Right, this African farmer sold the world's richest diamond mine in order to go search for it elsewhere. Right, such an important story with so many gems and nuggets of wisdom packed in there. Again, I've shared a different version of this same story on the podcast, but just wanting to drop that gem for you this morning, that if you woke up, if you're discouraged, if you're feeling like, you know what, you're off looking at, a future pasture, right, that you want to get to, I encourage you to pause today, this week, and look at where you presently are. Is there a stone you're not turning over? Is there an opportunity you've not fully explored? Because you are right now where you're supposed to be for a reason. Right. So let's go ahead. Let's step into this week with the right kind of mindset to take full advantage of what God's placed us in front of, placed us in the middle of, and why, explore why are you positioned to be where you are today? Where are you trying to go? Where's God trying to lead you? Give thought to that today. I encourage you to reach out to me. Let me know if this spoke to you. There are several other stories in Lead the Field that I'm thinking to make a series of each and every Monday morning. But Earl Nightingale is an amazing man who wrote this Lead the Field. He wrote Lead the Field in 1960, and here we are 60 plus years later, and we can derive wisdom from the stories written in this piece. So that's it for me for today. On Monday mornings, I'm aiming for them to be under 15 minutes. I just want to drop some gems and keep it moving. Right, this week, Sean Dove and I will be having another panel discussion on Wednesday morning at 8. And this Friday, we have a brand new live interview on trailblazers.fm. So definitely, let's put them on your calendar, set an alarm for 8 a.m. on Wednesday and 8:30 on Friday. And I look forward to connecting with you again. Shoot me a DM. Let me know if you enjoyed today's message, or drop a comment right below. And you go and have a fantastic day. Cheers.